Andrew Rosindell.
Thank you, Dr. Alan Khan, for calling me to respond on behalf of His Majesty's opposition. And may I say what a pleasure it is to serve under your chair for the first time. And to say to the Honourable Member for Surrey Heath, I commend him immensely for raising this issue on the floor of the House today. It's one of these issues that most MPs never hear about, never think about. The public don't know about this issue. And I think the Honourable Member for Surrey Heath has done us all a huge service today by raising this topic and by allowing us to hear about the facts of what has happened in this tragic case of Hudson, who died in 2023 at the age of only 24 in Ecuador, and how this could happen to anybody. This is not just something that has happened once. It can happen over and over again, and we do need cross-party action to deal with this. And I know that the Minister today will be taking on board all of the points that honourable members have made to ensure that we don't close this debate down and then move on to other issues, that in fact we take this forward and make the necessary changes to protect the safety of British travellers abroad, but also, as the honourable member for Dorset West mentioned, the risks domestically here in the United Kingdom, that the risks are here too, that there's a large number of people also die of carbon monoxide poisoning here in the UK, unbeknown to most people that it can happen. It's triggered something in my mind. I think I've had constituents actually in the past, many years ago, that died of a similar situation, and probably it happens more often than we realise. So action is needed, and today I hope, Minister, will trigger action from the government to ensure that Hudson's tragic death is not in vain, that others will live because of what happened to him, and that we will learn the lessons from that tragedy. So I again commend the member for Surrey Heath for raising this issue today, and also to thank other honourable members who've made powerful contributions. My honourable friend for Rayleigh and Wickford, it was a pleasure visiting his constituency only last Friday, and the honourable member for Strangford, who spoke powerfully about the effects in Northern Ireland, and as I've already mentioned, the member for West Dorset. I think there is cross-party consensus, I feel, in the room today that action is needed, and I thank Hudson's family and friends who have come today, and you know, with our heartfelt sympathy for this tragic loss, and we really hope that today will be the start of a serious change that will save lives in the future. So thank you, Dr. Alan Khan. If I could just make some formal remarks now on behalf of His Majesty's opposition. We know that carbon monoxide poisoning is often misdiagnosed, or worse, not diagnosed at all. So the amount of deaths from this awful occurrence could be far greater than we actually know. Many deaths abroad, they don't even appear on national or international statistics, so we don't actually know for sure how many people die of this awful situation. Most post-mortem tests are simply not fully conducted or conducted at all. So I say to the Minister, does the government have any estimate of how many Britons have actually died from carbon monoxide poisoning overseas in recent years? Are there statistics available? If so, why not? Perhaps he could tell us that in his closing remarks. According to the All-Party Parliamentary Group for Carbon Monoxide, 40 people die and thousands are injured every year in the UK from carbon monoxide poisoning. If this is happening in this country with relatively strong gas safety regulations, will the Minister tell us what about the risks to domestic people living in our own country as well as holidaymakers and those staying in properties with unknown safety standards abroad? And I think that certainly applied in the case of Hudson in a homestay, which I would imagine there's far greater risks in homestays than there are in staying in hotel accommodation. And we've heard from a member from Surrey Heath, for £20 you can get this device. Now, I travel a lot and I don't have one of these. I'm going to get one now because it can affect anybody. For £20 to actually be able to know if the place you're residing in is actually safe, I think that's worth the investment of £20. And I think we need all travellers to take this very sound advice. So, has the government evaluated how the risks compare for British people travelling to countries with different safety standards? Because they're not all the same all over the world. And I'm sure that Ecuador is an example of that. Having been to Quito myself, it's a very different part of the world and standards do differ. So it's important that people understand when they go to these faraway destinations that the risks are prevalent and we need to make them aware of those before they travel. And so will the Minister look at this and let us know what his findings are? Travellers booking through travel agencies may receive safety information, but those arranging trips independently won't necessarily do so. So what more can the government do to ensure that all British travellers, regardless of how they book their accommodation, are aware of the risks involved? The FCDO's travel advice is widely used and trusted. Would it not be logical to expand the inclusion of advice on carbon monoxide poisoning to all destinations with inadequate gas safety regulations, rather than on a handful of countries where tragic deaths have occurred? Portable carbon monoxide alarms, as already mentioned, are inexpensive, easy to pack and widely recommended by the experts. So surely the government should be encouraging their use in the same way it promotes other basic travel safety measures. We have seen how determined campaigners, including today Cathy Foley and her family, through Hudson's Pack Safe Appeal, are working to raise awareness of this. I think this needs to be stated very clearly by the government, and I think the work that is being done now to promote this serious risk is something the government should move on very quickly. The Safer Tourism Foundation and the APPG have made constructive recommendations to improve public understanding. So how is the government working with these organisations to strengthen its approach, and what discussions have the government had with travel industry representatives, including airlines, tour operators and accommodation providers, to explore ways of improving safety messaging for holidaymakers across the world? This is not about creating unnecessary alarm. It is about ensuring that British travellers have the knowledge they need to make informed decisions about their safety. We already provide advice on issues ranging from food hygiene to local crime risks. So, isn't it sensible to have the same kind of advice for treating the potential for carbon monoxide poisoning and use it in the same way, use it the same level of seriousness as we do with other possible risks to travellers abroad? This is a conversation about simple, practical steps that could and will, I believe, save lives. So I hope the Minister will take the opportunity to outline what action the government will take to help keep British travellers safe. I again thank the Honourable Member for Surrey Heath and all members that have contributed to this debate. I particularly thank Hudson's family. Let it be the case that we leave today in the knowledge that this debate has changed history, that actually from now on the British people will know and the government will advise them that they must take the adequate precautions which could potentially save the lives of themselves and their loved ones. Thank you.
Yeah.